In this video today, I'm going to be going over 10 features that I would really like to see in College Football 25. EA hasn't been telling us much about the game even though it comes out in about a month. With that being said, let's get straight into the first one. Multiple commentator crews has already been confirmed inside of College Football 25. We know that there will be two main announcers, Kirk Herbstreit and one other person, I forget his name, and then there are also some side, commentators that come in for the lesser games. But the one thing I really wanted to see was Joel Klatt and Gus Johnson being in the game as two commentators. And I know that there are some licensing issues with TNT and some other kind of channels for sports that they are signed to already, so they can't get the rights to them. But I just really wish they would have been in this game. It's more of a hopeful for next year maybe, because I don't think they're in this game, but it's not college football without those two. So it's really disappointing that they couldn't figure out a way to get those two announcers in the game. Another thing I'd like to see is more of an adjustable recruiting process, and what I mean by that is kind of how tedious it becomes. Some people like a long kind of tedious drawn out process like you see in NCAA football 13, and then in 14 they changed it, and this was kind of the mixed reaction. Some people said they like to get through their sims quicker and they like 14 because it's just assigning points and calling it a day, but some people like going in depth and actually getting to know these recruits, and every single week having to do all kinds of stuff to get them to come to your school. So there's kind of that balance there. But the reason I say adjustable is that I hope EA gives us a choice, and I hope that they give us kind of managers, I guess you could say, to delegate actions week by week too. That way we can choose exactly what we want to do week by week. So if one thing is more fun or it has more of an effect, we can choose what we want to do, so that the rest of the kind of tedious things that don't matter that much, we can say, all right, just have my assistant doing. And NCAA 14 had something similar where, you go into settings, there's only a couple of them, but it would just say AI or person. I hope it's more realistic, that it is like an actual assistant, and just kind of maybe just some words that say it's an assistant, not just the AI. And one other thing I had in mind was that it would be cool if they could do something like you delegate it to coordinators, and then if there are higher overalls, they do it better. So it's not just the AI, it actually varies on the coaches you have surrounding you, depending on, if you want to do it yourself and maybe do it better than they can. But if you already have a 95 overall coach, then you can just delegate it to him, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. Overall, I'm not too worried about what EA is going to do with the recruiting process. Obviously, it's already set, and I'm hoping that we finally get a reveal coming up soon, but I do think they'll do pretty good. I don't know if this adjustable recruiting process will be an actual thing, but I hope they do give us some customization at least, so that we can choose what we're doing each week, and they're not just screwing over half the people, because people will disagree no matter what unless they have the choice. So I really hope that they add it. One other thing I'd like to see is a PC port, and obviously I'm talking about next year because it already has been confirmed that this year, College Football 25, there will be no PC version, but we definitely will need it at least in the coming years. Maybe not next year, but the year after that. Definitely we need it, because there's a completely untapped market of people who don't have a console but want to play the game super bad. And PC players that already have a PC, so they're more likely to dig in their wallet and spend some more money, and we know EA likes that. So they definitely need to add, a PC port at least by College Football 27. I don't know how hard it is or how that works, but I do know that they're missing out on so many potential customers by not carrying it over. And I don't think it would be that impossibly hard for the amount of money that they will get out of it. The next thing I want to see in College Football 25 is pretty broad, and I just titled it Less Animations because it's kind of hard to explain. I know it's hard to request, but we know how bad Madden is about animations and getting dragged, and it ends up being like every single game seems like the same game because there's 5 tackle animations and stuff like that. We know 14 wasn't as bad about that. Running felt like arcade, and it felt like you actually doing something, and the tackle animations were somewhat animation based, somewhat, they look different every game, but Madden has become increasingly bad with that. So I know they've said that College Football 25 will have more animations, but I don't even want that. I want just clean, unique tackle, like, I'm saying animations, but you understand what I mean. I don't want pre-scripted animations. When this player comes in this direction, this player has the ball coming in this direction, here's what it'll look like. I want some difference every single time that exact scenario happens, some RNG, whatever it is. They need to make it just look unique, because at the end of the day, football, no two tackles are ever the same in real life. So if they want that level of realism, they're gonna have to try to strive to add tackling as best they can, because that's obviously one of the biggest things in the whole game of football. Along with that, I don't want there to be any cheesy animations where, you know, you're hurdling over someone. I remember in 14, hurdles were almost impossible because there was no animation, but in Madden there kind of is. You can kind of get that animation once in a while. So stuff like that, I really hope they don't add. Just like, or maybe a goal line dive. I hope you actually have to know what you're doing to get a dive. You don't just have to press square near the goal line and, you know, you get this perfect animation where you dive for the pylon. There has to be some skill involved with the animations. This is something I mentioned a long time ago, probably in like April or even March, is that I want Ultimate Team to have a free-to-play Ultimate Team ability. Basically what it means is there needs to be stuff for, you know, free-to-play players to do who don't want to spend money. And I know that at the end of the day, EA will always choose, you know, they will always benefit and prioritize the people that are going to spend money, and I don't blame them for them because they are a company, but they need to provide grinds for people that don't want to pay, who can have at least a chance and have a fair kind of shot at competing with them, instead of just leaving them with bronzes and silvers if you don't want to spend any money, or just, you know, there has to be some sort of grind is all I'm trying to say. Next, I'm going to run through a couple Dynasty features that don't deserve a whole spot on their own. I want there to be player records more than just the top one. There needs to be top 10, and these are kind of stuff I mentioned in the past. I want there to be upgradable stadiums, and I know that's something a lot of people want. It's not just me, so that's kind of a fan favorite feature people want. And then I also want you to be able to vote in the coaches poll. Maybe an option, maybe it's something you delegate like we've seen in what I mentioned earlier, but I do think that'd be cool if you could kind of vote on who the top 25 should be each week, because that would actually be realistic. If you're a coach, you should get to vote in the coaches poll. The next one I have is a harder AI and more adaptable AI. You know, past EA games, the hardest AI difficulty is easy to break. You know, it's hard for someone when they're starting out, but once you learn how they play and figure out how to beat them, it's not very fun anymore, because it seems like you're playing the same person regardless of what team you're playing against. And I really hope that's not the case for College Football 25, because I hope they try to make AI challenging and play differently each game, so that you don't just beat it. And, you know, 14, it was so predictable. It was even like the coaching decisions or how they ran or how they passed. It seemed like it was just the same thing over and over again. So I hope that, you know, it changes with the team so that the AI play calls based on the teams differently. But maybe that's too much to ask. I know they've kind of said stuff about the AI. I don't know a whole lot about how they're making it, but I do hope that at least the hardest version of the AI they're giving to us is actually adaptable and is a new challenge every single time you play a different game. Finally, the last thing I have is I want there to be content updates throughout the season to more than just Ultimate Team, and I actually have an idea for what that could look like, because Ultimate Team's obviously the easiest to update. You just add new players, add new packs, stuff like that. But I want them to do something like Game of the Week or Scenarios of the Past Week. And what I mean by Scenarios of the Past Week is, like, for example, if Tennessee has, say, 1 minute to drive 75 yards to win, and they do win the game after they drive 75 yards, with 1 minute left, then maybe the next week they could create moments like this where they say, go in here, you have 1 minute left and you're Tennessee, and see if you can do the same thing. Maybe you can predict, or maybe you can change what difficulty you're playing at. Maybe there's some sort of leaderboard like that, but something like that would be very fun to kind of keep you engaged with the college football season and make it feel more connected to what's going on in real life than just being a college football game with, you know, the teams and players. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this far. If you did, I hope to see you in the next one. I will see you.